What stuck out to me about this fight was how Joe Pyfer chose to handle the very first few seconds of both the first and second round, because they're almost identical except for one key detail. When he gets to the center of the octagon, what does he choose to do? Because in the second round, in that opening moment, he pushes. He is on the hunt. He's going to take that body cam right off his body, and he's going to put Abusupian Magomedov in a body bag. But in the first round, he gets to the center, and he backs off. He allows Abus room to breathe. He chooses not to use his answer to all his problems, which is that overhand right. He chooses not to take the body cam off. He chooses not to put Abus in a body bag. Or maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's just that the overhand right doesn't solve all problems. And if you've relied on that weapon in multiple fights before and it just didn't pan out the way you would have liked, and you ended up depleting yourself because you put a lot of oomph into that one shot, that one old reliable shot, you're going to want to back off and play things slow and steady. Funnily enough, it is Joe Pyfer who inevitably decides to bring the fight. And how does he bring the fight to Abus? He goes for a double leg. He decides to take the fight into Abus' world, where he can play into Abus' strengths and potentially out-grapple him. He wants to show off a new side of Joe that the fans haven't seen. He wants to do something and really imprint his name in the middleweight division. And in order to do that, especially against someone who is probably has an extremely strong wrestling pedigree, considering his last name and where he originated from, it's going to be the grappling. But unfortunately for Joe, the grappling doesn't work out on its own. He may have a BJJ black belt, but it doesn't mean he can go toe-to-toe with an Abusupian Magomedov. He loses the fight that way. He goes for the double leg and ends up finding himself in a guillotine, a standing guillotine. But then he's able to get a body lock and go for a trip, and still somehow not miraculously, it's just the differentials in skills between him and Abus. Abus ends up on top. It was Joe who went for the trip, but Abus ends up on top. His hips are better. He just knows how to position his body correctly and end up with a more advantageous position. And with that, Abus implements poor decision making. He tries a bunch of different things. He tries to maybe throw up a submission hold, but none of that works out, and Joe stands up. But of course, that first standing up, it didn't matter because Abus brought him right back down to earth, right back down to level. And he found different positions again and even threw up a scissor choke. That didn't work out. And the fight stands up once more. And now I think it's clicked for Joe Pyfer, especially when he gets separation, that he's going to have to rely on all reliable. It's time to stop playing around. It's time to stop playing into your opponent's strengths and play into your own. Use what got you to the dance instead of trying to show what you may do in practice but have hardly ever done under the bright lights, especially with as big of a platform as he has right now, with this huge crowd cheering the USA on, cheering him on. It's time to implement that overhand right. I know that can gas him out potentially, but lucky for him, Abus is already gassed out. He's already done a whole lot. And since he also struggles with a poor gas tank, this is the perfect moment for you to go back to the fundamentals. Go back to your fundamentals and throw a missile at him. And that's exactly what he does. And to start the second round, to start that second round, he doesn't waste no time. He goes to the center of the octagon and he continues into Abus' jurisdiction and presses. The body cam is now off and he is on the prowl trying to take Abus' head off. And Abus is in fear because he got a bit of a taste of it at the end of the first round. And he didn't like that at all. So you can see the fear in his eyes. He's backing away. He's turning away. His fundamentals are out. He's not defending properly. He defends one of the one of the overhand rights by actually moving his left hand in front of his face. It's far away from his face. There's a big gap in availability, and his back is against the cage, and he's trying to move away from Joe Pyfer. He ends up getting caught, but he still didn't get caught cleanly. It wasn't flush, and he's continuing to move backwards and backwards. He's still against the cage, though. He's moving along the cage, And Joe continues hunting, and he throws another overhand right, and that sends him to the ground, even though it looks almost as if he hits his guard, but Abbas is in so much fear that it doesn't matter. Everything, him moving backwards and that punch in sync together, it just knocks him on his ass. And with that, Joe bodybags Pyfer, is able to play the grappling game. He's able to step into Abbas' world, but the terms are a bit different because the way he brought it to the ground this time was through his striking, through what he excels at, that overhand right. And now he can play the grappling game, but he doesn't have to play it cleanly because this is MMA. There are multiple tools at your disposal. So he goes for elbows, he strikes, he frames off of him, and then eventually goes for an arm triangle. That doesn't work out. Abbas rolls over, but Joe follows up with a rear naked choke, and he sinks it in, and he wins the fight. And basically the main lesson of this fight is, for Joe, is to not ignore what he's good at, is to not try and white out over that thing that, although it can work against you at times if you're trying to seek out that overhand right at the head. If you're head hunting the entire time, you can lose out on energy. You can be doing more and expelling more than is necessary, and that could lead you into a fight that is a bit boring to the consumer. But it doesn't mean to just step away from that entirely. It means mix the two together. Throw that overhand right, and if it doesn't work, go for a takedown. But if it does work, it might just scare your opponent just enough so that they're backing off, that you can continue to hunt for that overhand right and send them on their ass, and then lock up a submission threat. But obviously, don't just go for the submission threat alone. Continue with the ground and pound. Cut him open and then submit him. Finish the fight that way. That is the key ingredient to success when it comes to Joe Pyfer. If he wants to beat Israel Adesanya, he can't just lean on one or the other. He has to do both. It is essential.